You also mentioned in the room 400 recipients, and so many of them are household names. And if you watch the old Johnny Carson episodes, you see references to these sorts of men, which today people wouldn't even know probably who is leading the U.S. Armed Forces.
No.
How have you seen that degradation, and what do you think the reason is for all of that?
Well, we've made the politically expedient decisions, as I mentioned, to sort of decouple ourselves, decouple society from the efforts of people who make that society possible. It's easy to do for now. I hate to think what'll happen if that's tested, but it's easy to do. Like I said, it's a big mistake. You know, I'm reminded of an observation of John Stuart Mill in that regard. And this is not exactly what he said, but it's something. He said, war is a terrible thing, but it's not the worst of things. He said, a man for whom nothing is more important than his own safety is a miserable creature who's made free and kept free by the exertions of better men than he. That's what we have today. We forget that, but we forget it. We forget it at our peril. Dangerous situation to rely on other people's efforts.
I think a lot in those sort of statements about Israel and about so many of my mates that are living their lives in Milowims, in reserve duty, going in and out and in and out, but it being nature, because their danger is right outside their door. It's quite literally able to come over the border at any moment. Whereas over here in, free-loving America or Australia and most Western countries, we don't have that existential momentary fear, but rather this idea of a big enemy could one day be there. So are you able to talk a little bit on what you think that shift in mindset has been? Because as you said, Pearl Harbor, it shifted the country, whereas the things happening today don't.
Well, but before Pearl Harbor, we had the same notion that you're talking about. Well, it's far away. The president himself said Asian boys will fight in Asia, European boys will fight in Europe. And by the time we finally ended the war in Europe had been going on for 2.5 years. War in Asia had been going on for an entire decade. People were getting slaughtered on 2 continents, but we had the same short-sighted view of our own safety in 1939 as we do today. It's far away. Nobody's going to bother us. China is at many levels of analysis is a clear and present danger. And yet we are not very thoughtful about how we need to make sure that we remain safe and our interests remain supported in areas that are far away from the United States. Israel lives in a very dangerous neighborhood. And so it's very easy for Israel to make plans to defend itself when it's in an environment like it's been since 1948. Israel's had to live with these dangers for its entire life. We're very complacent. Everything's okay. Then if it's not okay, a miracle will happen and then everything will be okay again. That's been our experience. Ever since World War I, it was like that before. It's like that today. We do that at our great peril. I'm not suggesting that we'd be a lot better off if we were living in an environment in which Canada and Mexico would be attacking us all the time. But I have to say that we have an unrealistic view of what our dangers are, and we haven't prepared for them. And we are unfortunately not, we were already not liking the result. We're really not going to like it if we persist on being blind to what our obligations as a nation and as individual citizens, if we're blind to those obligations.
For young kids that are looking to serve, and many Jewish kids go to the IDF, but many also do serve the United States. Are you able to talk to them and what you think the importance is of defending a nation like the United States, which we all live in and enjoy the freedoms of?
Well, I mean, there's the first order issue of what your obligation is. Like I said, you're looking at somebody who believes in universal service. I think if you're an American, you must serve. That's all there is to it. We have mitzvot, and that's one of them. In my view, that's one of them. You owe something to this country that's giving you the freedom to do whatever you want, and you got to pay it. You got to pay it back by making your contribution. You can't just take. You got to make a contribution. You got to pay a little bit too. But there's a practical aspect about it too. I talk to CEOs all the time, and I ask them, "You hiring veterans?" And they all have programs. We're going to hire veterans. We've hired 5,000 veterans since 9/11 and so on. And I asked them, I said, "Why do you do that?" And the majority of them would say the same thing: because we owe it to them. Well, I said, that's baloney. That's not why you should do it. Certainly not why you should do it. Maybe it's why you think you're doing it, but that's not why you should do it. You should do it because these are the best people you can find anywhere. There is nothing like military service that gives young people authority and responsibility at an early age. When people get out of the service, however long it's been, they've had more authority and responsibility than the majority of the people who were thinking about hiring them in the first place. I mean, when people are in uniform, you've got 19, 20-year-old people who are in charge of everything in the lives of a dozen men. I mean, my father was a little bit older when he served in the Army in the Second World War. He was a sergeant, fought in New Guinea and the Philippines. His troops called him the old man. He was 26. Everybody else was 18, 19, 20 years old. When you've been in an environment, whether it's in combat or not, when you're responsible for everything in the lives of other people, when you're given missions and told more or less how to do it, but you're going to have to figure it out. When you're told to go do something, when you get there, turn right, and you get there and you can't turn right, and you got to figure out in a moment whether or not you're going to turn left, and you go ahead and do it. You develop the kind of thought process, the ability to make decisions on short notice with minimal information. You get a feeling that you can, in fact, do anything if you put your mind to it and think clearly about it. You turn out to be a very much different person after your service than somebody who's been sitting around contemplating his navel for the same period of time. I mean, you're the man. And when I talk to CEOs and CFOs about hiring veterans, I remind them that's the reason you're supposed to hire these people, because they're probably going to be better at your job than you are. And furthermore, they're quick studies. I mean, here's what you got to do. Do you know how to do it? No, but I'll figure it out. That's what happens when you're in uniform. And that's not the principal reason why you need to put the uniform on, but that's a concomitant of doing that. It's an additional benefit. You go in being 19 years old and you come out 46 years old and able to do anything that you're given.